Unsteadiness while walking. You've probably noticed that as people get older, their walking becomes less steady. Steps get shorter and shuffling, the upper body leans forward, the gaze is directed down to the floor, and people often lose their balance. Many believe this is only about weak legs, but age-related lack of coordination is not just about the legs, it's about how the whole body works together. And in this video, we'll break down how we gradually lose control over movement, balance, and the feeling of support.
The importance of coordination. Friends, hello! I'm happy to welcome you to my channel dedicated to healthy physical culture. The topic of declining coordination runs like a red thread through all of our programs, or more precisely, the topic of improving coordination. Because we clearly understand that the better a person is coordinated, the more efficiently and economically they use their body, the more energetic they feel, the longer they can take care of themselves independently as they age, and the lower their risk of falling and injuring the musculoskeletal system. For example, breaking the neck of the femur, which in older age practically does not fully recover. So working on coordination is incredibly important for us. And now we'll carefully lay everything out step by step. Today's video will be more theoretical, so that you first understand what processes are happening in the body with age. After that, it will be much clearer which exercises to choose and how to work correctly. If you want to see a practical workout aimed at improving coordination and reducing unsteadiness while walking, be sure to give this video a like. If this video gets 10,000 likes within a week, I'll upload the second part next week with specific exercises.
Why the legs don't walk and where unsteadiness comes from. In my videos, I often repeat, the key stage of working with movement is training the brain. In classic fitness, we are used to simply training the muscles, strengthening them, stretching them, and focusing all our attention on the muscles. But we walk on our legs all our lives. Compared to many other muscle groups, the muscles of the legs are usually much more adapted and trained. The common complaint of older people, "My legs don't walk anymore," in most cases doesn't come from the legs being completely weak. More often, it comes from disturbances in the movement control system, that is, in the central nervous system. With age, the vestibular system works worse. Reaction speed decreases. The ability to feel the body in space declines. Step by step, the brain sees our body from the inside less clearly and loses an accurate understanding of where its parts are. Because of this, unsteady gait appears, and the body is used less effectively for basic daily tasks, walking, household movements, turning, getting up. A person may have reasonably strong leg muscles, but the brain no longer reads the position of the body as quickly and clearly as before. So the command, "hold your balance," arrives with a delay. From here, we get unsteadiness, insecure steps, and fear of falling.
Reason 1. Posture and body mechanics. To work effectively with this problem, we need to analyze all its components. Let's start with basic mechanics. In many people, posture gets noticeably worse with age. The upper body becomes rounded because the muscles lose strength and can no longer fully resist gravity. The center of mass shifts. What happens with the body? The pelvis shifts, the upper back becomes rounded, the torso is no longer standing firmly on the legs, but constantly catching balance off them. Instead of resting confidently on the legs, the body is always close to falling. The brain is forced to constantly juggle to keep us upright. From that, you see compensation strategies like the step gets shorter, the person leans even more forward, the gaze drops down to the feet as an attempt to somehow maintain control over balance. But this is not an optimal adaptation. It's an emergency scenario when our center, core, glutes, and legs can't cope with gravity. As a result, we shuffle our feet more. We take tiny steps. We engage the core even less while walking, even though it already works poorly. And day after day, we weaken it more and more. That's why elderly people who fit the typical grandma-grandpa image in the street, and I emphasize this often doesn't depend strictly on passport age, bend more and more toward the ground, grow shorter visually, and hunch deeper. Our fundamental task as humans is to learn to counteract gravity effectively by strengthening our anti-gravity muscles, abdominal muscles, gluteal muscles, and generally the muscles of the legs, all the structures that the body relies on in a vertical position. When these muscles are strong and active, we help the legs carry the body, instead of the body just hanging on the legs. In people with a strong center and good posture, you can see that walking starts from the center. The rib cage participates, arms and legs move in harmony. The opposite arm moves toward the opposite leg. The torso has a slight rotational, springy motion. But when posture is disrupted, it looks like a person is walking not from the center, but only with their legs, and often in different, uncoordinated patterns. As soon as the center stops supporting movement, it becomes visible immediately, in yourself, in your relatives, in people around you. At that moment, your daily exercise routine absolutely must include a set of exercises to strengthen the center and anti-gravity muscles in a vertical position. And in that very routine I mentioned earlier, I will focus on exactly this if the video gets the promised number of likes.
Reason 2. Worse sense of support. Foot function. The next key factor is the decline in our sense of support, the decrease in the sensory function of the feet. People rarely talk about this. We're used to thinking that feet are needed for balance, bearing the weight of the body, and pushing off when we walk. But the feet are also a powerful sensory organ. If a tiny stone gets inside your shoe, you can't ignore it. You feel it constantly as you walk. Why? Because the soles of our feet are packed with proprioceptors, nerve endings that continuously send information to the central nervous system and receive signals back. The worse the feet work, the worse this sensor system works. With age, under the influence of many factors, the feet function worse and worse. Decades of uncomfortable, tight, or poorly chosen shoes, injuries. Twisting the ankle is one of the most common everyday injuries. Postural issues that sink down into the feet. Non-working toes, and so on. All these little things accumulate over the years and lead to a weakened connection between the feet and the brain. But the feet are the first part of the body that receives information from the surface we stand and walk on.
A small test for your feet. Let's do a simple test. Stand up, shift your weight onto one leg, and slightly lift the other. You may hold on to a support to stay safe. Stay for a few seconds. Notice how your foot behaves. Then, shift your weight to the other leg and do the same. Now, ask yourself, did you try to keep your balance by grabbing the floor with your toes? In most cases, the answer is yes. If you're not my regular student and don't do special exercises, you probably tried to catch your balance by engaging your toes like hooks. But the toes are not meant to be the main support. When the foot as a whole doesn't work well, the brain tries to grab the ground with whatever it can and starts overusing the toes. That's already a signal that the feet are not performing their job fully, and the nerve receptors aren't working as efficiently as they could. You can also try other simple checks. Move all your toes. Move only the big toe. Move the other 4 toes separately. Try standing on the balls of your feet and then on your heels. Perform several easy movement tasks. If these simple things are difficult for you, then your regular training must include exercises to improve foot function and proprioception. In other words, you need to reconnect your feet and your brain so that the brain can better control movement. When the feet become a blind zone for the brain, we start compensating with our eyes.
dropping the gaze down to the floor, watching every step, trying to visually manage the support surface. Once again, the torso is drawn toward the ground and the gait becomes shuffling and unsure.
Conclusions: what coordination training gives you. Let's return to the main idea. Unsteady walking is not just a muscle issue. It is primarily a coordination problem, how the brain organizes movement. There is a direct relationship here. The better your coordination, the better your cognitive functions, memory, attention, reaction speed. Many studies show that training coordination improves not only physical coordination, but also brain function as a whole. Loss of cognitive abilities is one of the major problems of aging, and we must start preventing it before we clearly notice decline in our mental performance. Gait becomes a kind of indicator, a litmus test of the state of the body. To solve gait problems and at the same time many other issues in the body, we need work on anti-gravity muscles, in 3 planes of movement and in a vertical position. Improve foot function, restore their sensitivity and connection with the central nervous system. Develop coordination skills, using special exercises that make movements more coordinated, efficient, and safe, and at the same time prolong the youth of the brain and support cognitive function. The earlier you start this kind of work, the more pronounced and lasting the result will be. This practice should become as habitual as brushing your teeth or daily hygiene. We need hygiene of physical culture. And it's important to understand, pills will not improve your coordination. Injections and massages will not teach your body to move in a more synchronized way. Coordination improves only through movement and training movement patterns. It's actually very simple and very logical.
Thank you for your attention. Subscribe to the channel and enjoy the benefits. We'll see each other in the next video. Bye-bye.